Welcome to the 15th edition of the Copernicus Observer. Welcome to the Committee of the Regions, the voice of the regions and the cities within the European Union, comprised of 350 members. Our interview partner of today bears an interesting name, a name with several appearances. You find that name, for example, for the largest Mediterranean sea cave north of Sardinia. You find it also for computer language, and last but not least, you find it also for a fast and reliable spaceship, as you have seen it in EVE Online. What's the name? Any guess? It's NEREUS, the Greek goddess or the Greek god, the son of the earth and the son of the sea. And today we're talking with the General Secretary, Roya Ayazi. Nice to meet you, Roya. And we have a bit of an insight what NEREUS really does and how the connection with Copernicus is. Roya, I just use NEREUS, of course, with all its facets that we have, but NEREUS has a specific meaning, at least in your context. How do you see NEREUS? Is it for you a Greek god or something else?
Well, that was the godfather for the name. But NEREUS stands for Network of European Regions Using Space Technologies. And the emphasis is on using. We look at what can you do with space data-based signals here on planet Earth. And especially what can you do with space in non-space areas. Mm-hmm. And we are a network of regions. Why again a network? Regions are one of the main user group of satellite-based services and products.
So you're the General Secretary of NEREUS. What does this really mean? What is your daily work?
I'm the head of the Brussels-based office here in Brussels and coordinate the network and do the advocacy towards the European institutions. We realize model projects together with our regions to explain a bit what can you do with space data. We make the space activities in our regions more visible. We promote regional space activities and initiatives, and we make sure that European space policy and programs meet the needs of regions and their citizens.
Mm-hmm. So now you mentioned regional, and now you mentioned Copernicus, and now I chime in with the first question here. How can the Copernicus services and the Sentinels supply data to decision makers and local and regional authorities for the sustainable and state-of-the-art management of European territories?
Copernicus data delivers our local and regional authorities with important information. Important information that enables them to make better informed decisions. Important information that enables them, when managing the territory, to make more long-term planning, long-term decisions. They can, for instance, see with satellite imagery, they can get information how their coasts will develop, how their land will develop. They are able, with the information from the Sentinel satellites, to deploy resources better, natural resources better, and they can protect their habitat also better.
Now this is interesting because here it says local and regional. Why not national?
So we are complementary to the national level. In a lot of cases and institutions, certain competences are with the national level. When we talk about Copernicus services and products are global. You can deliver them from anywhere and you can use them anywhere. But in order to use Copernicus, what you need to do is to define your needs. Mm-hmm. Not every Copernicus product or service is useful in any other geographic area. And when it comes to the definition of needs and the actual use, the local and the regional level are pivotal.
Okay.
As a local level, we are very close to the citizen. We are the next level, really. And when you come to territories and citizens, often the regional level is the point of reference.
What's the typical size of a local region or of a local area, and what's like a regional area?
It depends. It's across Europe a large variety. What you can say, when we talk about NEREUS regions, we apply the NUTS 2 definition, and there are 276 regions in Europe that comply with the NUTS 2 definition. And that's also the level that is the point of reference when it comes to the distribution of structural regional funds. And also this question is very, very important when it comes to the construction of Copernicus markets and also the uptake. We firmly think that, and that is something very important for our work, that we want to bring in the dimension of regional and territorial policies and connect them with the use of space. Copernicus brings solutions for a lot of territorial challenges, and we need to better link them and make regional decision makers aware.
Now you mentioned the Copernicus user uptake, and I just see here that NEREUS has been involved in an initiative entitled Improving Copernicus Uptake Among Local and Regional Authorities, which has recently come to an end. What is your vision for the future Copernicus user uptake activities among these LRA, these local and regional authorities?
The project you mentioned is one of the model projects we realize on our platform to better understand what is the situation in Europe, what do we need to do in Europe to use Copernicus better, broader, and for more purposes. In the project you mentioned, we learned that the factors that we have to look at are broader. We have to start with awareness. That's the key. We have to have in Europe a strong campaign, a strong vision for awareness raising, for outreach to local and regional authorities, showing them what can you do with Copernicus, what are the benefits, what are the advantages. That will help us to the next step to create political will for the uptake. That is, if you want to change something in an administration, you need the political will in support. And you need to show to policymakers what can you make, where can you make the change. Another aspect we need to work on in Europe is education. It's fantastic that we have free and open access. It's fantastic that we have the ESA portal with the Sentinel satellites. But we need to train administration to use them and to use them for their purposes. And then comes the question of resources. All these things to bring this change comes along also with a certain cost. If you look at Copernicus, it's fantastic that we have free and open access. But when you look at the local and regional level, really to use it for fire administration, for forestry, for local and regional tasks, you often need a product or a service in between. You need a software to analyze the satellite imagery, and that comes with cost. And there we need to find smart financing models and smart ways of bringing that forward.
So you mentioned the regions and you mentioned the network. Do you see quite a lot of collaboration between regions which are not from the same nation?
We think interregional collaboration across frontiers, across nations, is pivotal for Copernicus uptake. If you look at what can you do with Copernicus data, it's monitoring of natural resources. It's monitoring, you have information on lakes, oceans, mountains, forests. They don't stop at national borders. They go beyond borders. Look at the German Bodensee. Look at the River Rhine. They don't stop at national borders. Look at the Alps. Look at the Pyrenees. It's too limited to approach these questions only from a national point of view. Regions of different member states have to work together.
It's kind of interesting that we have a global system which supports regions. When you think about that, like the two ends of the spectrum?
Yes, that's always what we highlight. We think Copernicus, it's fantastic because it's global. It gives small and medium-sized enterprises and actors the possibility to act global, because if you market, if you develop Copernicus services, you don't have big logistical challenges. You can deliver your service anywhere. But when it comes to the use is very local.
Can you give us an example where the Copernicus applications have really been used successfully on a regional level within the EU?
We have produced together with ESA a collection of 67 cases where regions use in different domains ranging from maritime, land, emergency, Copernicus services in concrete administrative tasks. We think very successful, and we could already see a clustering common interests among the regions on our platform when it comes to forest fire detection, when it comes to air quality control, when it comes to water monitoring, the monitoring of water qualities. We recently brought together the maritime partners on our platform, and we saw a very strong interest in all the questions related to algae monitoring, to make sure that the beaches and also the question related to public health are monitored in a correct way.
So, Roya, you mentioned the cooperation with ESA, but of course there's another major player, which is the European Commission. How does the collaboration work with that entity?
We have a long-lasting collaboration also with the Commission, and we are now quite glad to be part of a large consortium that works very systematically in the frame of in a multi-annual framework contract on Copernicus user uptake. And we approached it really strategically. Our region contributed to a comprehensive studies looking into what do we need to do in Europe to have a broader Copernicus uptake. And we are now involved in a number of promotional activities that help also in our regions to get a better understanding of the situation.
With the stuff you've seen from your data so far in terms of Copernicus user uptake, are you happy with the numbers? Do you see that it's being taken up by the regions, by the authorities, by users?
The more we talk about it, the more we bring strong examples, the more we manage to gather socioeconomic data, the more convincing we are, the more we create a political will. The initiatives of the Commission is really something sustainable because it's multi-annual, and it's it is a powerful tool. It is a tool that mobilizes a lot of different players and helps to convince regions.
You know what NEREUS is also attributed to? We're talking about the Greek god. It's being the real gentleman, they call him. Huh? Lots of virtue, lots of honesty, right? So for that one, I wish you all success with lots of virtue, lots of honesty, lots of success in the future. Thank you very much for the interview.
Thank you.